or not?
Yes, we noticed.
So your question is?
Why did you mention that?
Why is the Torah telling me Shimon v'Levi achim? Question 1. Klei Hamas mecherotehem. They have vessels of Hamas. Hamas could mean killing or murder, like the terrorist group in the Gaza Strip, right? They have kelim of murder, mecherotehem, meaning those are their weapons. They did an aveira. That's what Yaakov means. Shimon and Levi did an aveira. What's the aveira? Bisodam. Sod here does not mean secret. Sod. Does anyone pray Nusach Sfarad here? Or Edota Mizrach? What is the Musaf Kedusha on Shabbat and Yom Tov? We start off with the word Keter. Keter Yitnu Lecha. No. Shacharit, I'm sorry. Nagdishach v'na'aritzach, we're going to sanctify you and praise you. Kinoam, like the pleasantry. Siach, like the talk of Sod Sarfei Kodesh. Sod Sarfei Kodesh. Sod is the gathering together. Doesn't mean secret only. So, back to the words of Yaakov, Bisodam, when they're together, Shimon and Levi, al tavo nafshi, I don't want to be there. That's an interesting bracha, isn't it? To his own two sons. Bikalam, when they're congregated together, al techad kivodi, I don't want my honor to be unified there. Oh, that's a nice bracha. Ki ve'apam haragu ish. Look at my af. Do you see my af? Rhetorically or metaphorically, af in the Torah means anger. Anger. Have you ever seen me get angry at Eitan? Should I get angry at you now? Okay, beseder. Ki ve'apam, because in their anger, hargu ish. Really? They killed an ish? Another question. What is ish? Ish is one man? What are they talking about? What is Yaakov Avinu talking about here? Another question. Uvirtzonam, and their will and desire, ikiru, sure, they uprooted a shore. Who is the shore? Could the shore be Yosef HaTzadik? What is Yosef is likened to? An ox. Do you know what the tribe of Yosef is likened to? Bechor shore. Moshe Rabbeinu, it talks about Yosef HaTzadik as like the firstborn of a shore. Okay? Strength. Yosef is strength. So, wow. This is very interesting. So many brachot for Shimon and Levi. I don't want my honor to be amongst them. And we have the wise. In their anger, they killed Ish. What event is Yaakov Avinu talking about? Shechem. Did Shimon and Levi kill an Ish in Shechem? They did more. So why are they called Ish? Maybe their value is not too much more than one person, Rashi says. Or maybe they slew them all in one shot as if they were one man. Okay, we mentioned yesterday that the people in Shechem were weakened because this was day number 3 after they did they didn't do a Brit, but they made a circumcision.
Oh.
The real Brit is only for the Jewish people. That's what I mean to say. Okay? So, my dear friends, wow. Let's finish the pasuk and then we'll get to start answering all the questions we have. Arur apam. May their anger be cursed. Ki az. Ve'evratam, and their anger, ki kashata. Achalakem be'Yaakov, I'm going to divide them in Yaakov. Vafitzem, and I will disperse them in Israel. Well, we have a lot of questions here. What is Yaakov going to do? He's going to make sure that they're going to be dispersed. Now, my dear friends, is it true Shimon and Levi here are shamed? Are they shamed? Or is their action being shamed? Is Yaakov Avinu cursing Shimon and Levi? Or is Yaakov cursing the anger of Shimon and Levi? What do you notice here? So we see here, what is chinuch? What is education of parents? If you see something going wrong with your child, it's best to put down or shame the action, but not the person. We don't want to lower the image of the individual. Shimon and Levi are superstars. They failed in certain places, and here Yaakov is clear that he is cursing their anger, cursing their bad action, and making a separation, do you understand, between the person and the action. I don't know if you're aware, but kids make mistakes a lot of times. And you know what? Even adults, we make mistakes. I don't know about you, but I make mistakes. What we have to, when we comment, if we should comment at all about our children, we have to certainly be very careful with our wives, is not to make the comment a personal comment. We don't want to shame the person. We're interested that the person correct, rectify, make it better. But if you're going to put him down, he's going to be sober, he's going to be sorry, he's going to be saddened, he's not going to overcome the hump. So here we notice this education of Yaakov Avinu. Yaakov Avinu is not going to overlook the anger of Shimon and Levi, what they did. Now, let's be honest. Did this event happen yesterday? 2 days ago? A year ago? 2 years ago? How long ago? Tens of years have passed when the event was that Shimon and Levi slew the people in Shechem. Now, Yaakov and his children already have left the land of Canaan. They've settled in Mitzrayim. And now they're developing, they're seizing land, and they're growing and growing, as we read in the end of last week's Parsha. And here it is, Yaakov before his death is now meeting up with all his sons, and he doesn't forget the sin of Shimon and Levi in the action of Shechem. And it seems that he's not giving them even a discount. He's not being easy at them whatsoever. He curses their anger. He curses their bad action. And the question is this the same reaction that Yaakov had when it happened? Can you open up in your Chumash Bereshit to the event when it happened that they killed the people in Shechem? Where shall we find this? That's correct. Chumash Bereshit happened earlier. What did you say? Chapter 34? Very good. Lamed Dalet, chapter 34. In chapter 34, very good, verse 30, very nice. Here it is, verse 30. Yaakov summons and talks about Shimon and Levi. Achartem oti. He says, all of you, you made me like polluted. You made me terrible. Lavisheni b'yoshev haaretz. How did they translate the translation? Lavisheni.
To make me odious.
To make me what?
Odious.
Odious. For those that know English, it's fine. But those people like me that don't know English, what does it mean?
Hated.
You put in me to make to me hated. Ba'kanani u'ba'prizi. The Canaanites and the Prizim, chapter 34, Lamed Dalet, verse 30. They're going to hate me. Vani mitei mispar. I'm only a little family. I don't have a lot of numbers. What might happen? V'nesfu alai. He's talking about the Canaanites. They're going to come up upon me. V'ikunin. They're going to smite me. V'nishmadeti ani uveiti. And then I and my house will be destroyed. My dear friends, the immediate the reaction of Yaakov Avinu to his sons is the fear of the outcome. What will happen internationally here between the Canaanite nations and me when they find out that we killed the people of Shechem. So Yaakov Avinu here has what we call a claim of actuality. He cares so much about the danger, which is imminent. Right now, the danger is opposite his eyes. Yaakov has a little family, just a little mishpacha. And the Canaanites, and the Perizi, and the Yevusi, how many they are in number? They're gigantic nations. Can you fight up against them, yes or no? No. No chance. So Yaakov's fear is what will be the outcome. Will the Canaanites attack us? And that's what he says to his friend. Now, let's pass a few decades. We're in Mitzrayim. We're not there. Can the Canaanites come and attack us? Now? No, they cannot. We're far away. We're not in there. We're under the Mitzrayim guardianship. And not only that, we're under Yosef, the son. His guardianship. Right now, is there a danger or no danger? No. And therefore, do we now understand that all the anger of Yaakov Avinu shifts from what will be the outcome to the acts, to the crime itself. Here, the shift of attention is not about the possible results, but rather about the actual action. Shimon and Levi, they are achim. And we ask the question, oh, Boker Tov, we know that they are achim. But rather, they're like sewn together. When they come together, they act in unison. That's what it means, as the Ramban says, Nachmanides says, they are perfect brothers. They coincide with one another with their counsel. They coincide with one another with their action. And therefore, according to the Ramban, they acted with a crime to the people of Shechem. And they shouldn't have done it. And therefore Ramban is saying that he's talking about the crime they did. Therefore, gentlemen, in summary, we have two things about the anger of Yaakov. Number one, that they did a terrible crime to the people there in the city of Shechem. And the fear was that instead of trying to convince these Goyim to believe in one God, right now, he doesn't have to show up. He can't back it up. He won't be able to back it up. They should believe in one God because we ourselves did a terrible crime. And number two, the crime itself. Not only the Chilul Hashem that's causing, that right now the Goyim think that we did a terrible thing, but now he's shifting and talking about the crime. Let me ask you something. This zealousy of Shimon and Levi, they did it because who did they want to protect? Their sister Dinah. So they did what we call kanaut, the act of zealousy. They took the law into their hands and they wiped out all the men of the city of Shechem. Do we ever see actions of zealousy in the Torah?
Yes.
Okay. Where do we see it?
And the story of Pinchas.
Pinchas acts right away when he sees a desecration of God's name. And does the Torah praise that and bless that?
Yes.
Yes. So we're asking, what is the difference between the action of the brothers killing the men in Shechem and the action done by Pinchas where he kills a leader of the tribe of Shimon and this princess that they're having relations publicly and so on? What is the difference between the two? That zealousy is praised. Excuse me. But this zealousy of Shimon and Levi is not. What's the difference? Huh?
The second one with Zimri was made in to protect the Shem Shamayim because Zimri was
So you're saying, Thomas is saying, if I understand him, it's a different time, it's a different place, different things are at stake. the action of Pinchas, what he dared to do, is right now to wipe out a prince of Israel from the tribe of Shimon, a gadol. Because and people are sitting there watching, it could allow many people to misunderstand the laws of modesty and what we're allowed to do, we're not allowed to do. So right now he wants to prevent a terrible thing in the eyes of the Jewish people, and don't let them think that you're allowed to do these things. But the action of Shimon and Levi are different circumstances, aren't they? Right now, it's not between the Hebrews and ourselves. The action of Shimon and Levi is going to cause problems between
the family and the inhabitants.
The inhabitants of the land, the Goyim, the nations of the land. Do we appear in the land of Canaan as a bunch of murderers? As stealing their lives and so on and so forth? Okay? And therefore, the idea is way, way different. Way, way different. Shimon and Levi endangered the life of whatever's left over of Yaakov Avinu vis-a-vis the Canaanites and the others. So gentlemen, let's now get eventually to the next question. Here it is. Yaakov is cursing the anger of Shimon and Levi. He's saying the crime that they did is a terrible thing. Is this a bracha or not? So there are those that say, you should know this, there are those that say, not only in Chassidut, but they say the following: if a father gives his children a musar, if a child is rebuked by a parent, whether he's an adult like Shimon and Levi or not, then you know what's going to come out of that? A good bracha. His behavior will change. Why is Yaakov Avinu offering cursing their anger, telling bad things about the crime they did? Because Yaakov wants them to do tshuva. And when you give musar to your child and you're hoping that a different behavior will come out, then it's really a bracha, then it's a blessing. Okay? We, of course, have to be very careful as much as we can not to be critical of others. Okay, now, one more question regarding Shimon and Levi. Yaakov says here that they're going to be dispersed. They're going to be dispersed in Israel. What's going on? Why? If you don't want what do you want them to cause anger by others? You're going to disperse them? They're going to teach all the tribes anger? Is that good or not? Huh? If right now the attribute of anger is the one that's being rebuked, then why apportion them amongst the Jewish people? You know what? If you're such easygoing people like Eitan, very easygoing, never raises his voice about anyone, he doesn't curse anyone, he doesn't criticize, very soft-spoken person. You know what I'm talking about? Can you tell the truth right now, David Adler? How many times have you gotten into a fight with this gentleman? Never. Okay, Thomas, you've never. Only you?
No.
Not you either? Wow. So, gentlemen, you see these soft-speaking people? They're so soft. You know what they need a little? A shtickle anger. A little piece of anger will be good for their personality, just to balance them off a little. There are times that a person has to use anger. Not once a day, not once a week, and maybe not even once a month. But he has to use a little anger in order to put people in their place. I share the following story. We had a staff meeting, maybe you remember the story, with Rabbi Gon. And 10, 15 rabbis and teachers around the table from the Israeli department and the heads of departments. And the Rav wants to speak, and everyone is talking. And I said, wow, I felt so bad for the Rav. He's the Rosh Hashiva. And everyone's he wants to speak. I didn't know where to put myself. I was just keeping quiet and this and that. And then all of a sudden, Rabbi Gon shows an angry face and bangs on the table. There was total silence in the room. And then the Rav smiled. He smiled right away. He put on an act. He showed a face of anger. Sometimes you have to know how to show a face of anger. If it's to your children, certainly not to your wife, okay? But not to use anger. But here, maybe a little anger, they will be able to teach all the other tribes. Shimon and Levi will be dispersed to teach a little anger, which will be helpful in the future. Let's go on now to the next tribe, Yehuda. Of course, what Yaakov Avinu is saying is out of prophecy. Hashem prophesied him. Ata yoducha achecha. Ata, you. Did Shimon, Reuven, Shimon, and Levi get the word you? No, this is very personal. This is the first time he's using the word ata. Yoducha achecha. Your brothers will admit to you, meaning, as we read on, we're going to learn that he will be the king. In the future, your brothers will accept your, what's the word? Malchut, your kingdom. Furthermore, internationally, yadcha be'oref oivecha, your hand will be at the neck of your enemies. In other words, David will be David. Whoever will come out of Judah and be the king, he will be a successful warrior. Yishtachavu lecha b'nei avicha. Okay? All your, meaning your brothers, the sons of your father, you'll be a true leader. Everyone's going to bow down to you. Gur arei Yehuda, you're likened to a lion's cub. Why gur? Why not a big lion? 100 kilos? Why gur for a 20 kilo cub? Why be likened to a gur? Rashi thought about this question, and we talk about the initial appearance of David. The initial appearance of David, when Shaul is still acting as a king, okay, then David acts like a cub. He's a little reserved, he doesn't go fight everyone, and only later when he becomes king, does he become like a full lion. But when he begins like a cub of a lion, okay? Gur Aryeh Yehuda, you're likened to the cub of a lion. Miteref b'ni alita, you're going to rise up from whatever food that you're taking to eat when you're snatching animals. Kara ravat karyeh, you'll be able to what? What does a lion do when they're about to pounce on someone? But they crouch down first. That's how you're going to be. You're going to be in a position of taking advantage of others. Brother, can we lower the heat of here? Lower.
Is it warmer or colder?
No, don't make. I'm about to pass out.
Yeah, okay. Me too.
Can you pass me the water? What, do you think you're going to sit here for nothing? You're not going to sit next to me? Thank you, sir. Okay.
If you was passing out, it was boring nefashot, Ken. No.
Thank you. Gentlemen, Yehuda is likened to an aryeh, a lion. Uchlavi miyakimenu. And now the courage, leadership, like a lion, the king of the forest, the king of the animals, that's who Yehuda will be. And now we hear about the kingship literally. Pasuk Yud lo yasur, shevet mihuda. The scepter, shevet here does not mean tribe. Shevet is a stick, the stick of the king, the scepter. The scepter will never be removed from Yehuda. Umichokek mi ben raglav, but he'll also be a lawmaker. Between the feet, meaning of all the people that will come out of him, he'll have lawmakers as well, scholars as well. Ad ki yavo Shilo, velo yikatamim. Now regarding the kingship that will be never taken away from him. Okay? In other words, the attribute, the talent of Yehuda is leadership. It's not by mere incidents. That is his attribute. We saw that when he comes to argue with Yosef at the beginning of last week's Parsha. He acts like a leader, like a king. But the question is, once he becomes king, what does it mean that he cannot ever, it should not be taken away from him? Let's ask what we're learning in the book of Shmuel. Who was really the first king of the Jewish people? Shaul, from the tribe of Benjamin. How could it be that here Yehuda gets the kingdom, yet in the book of Shmuel, Shaul from the tribe of Benjamin is king? It's a great subject that the Ramban, Nachmanides, addresses with a lot of length. And he explains, the truth was, some of you know, you've been studying it, Shaul didn't want to become king. In fact, Shmuel the prophet thought it was not even the right time to ask for a king. And he knows it's not the right time. And God knows it's not the right time either. So why was a kingdom given? Because that's the nation. That's where they are. God wants to go with them in their level. So what did God give them? He gave them a temporary kingdom. A temporary kingdom. He purposely did not give them a king from the tribe of Judah, because it's not worthy for them right now. And he gave them only a temporary kingdom and from a different tribe. Does this or not contradict what we're reading here? That the scepter will never be removed from Judah? The answer is no. Why? Because the kingdom of Judah didn't start yet. It didn't start yet, exactly. It only starts after King Shaul, King Saul. Then it'll be a problem if you put into the kingdom someone from a different tribe. But this is what we call a malchut sha'ah, a temporary kingdom. Okay? And all this is because the Jewish people are not on a level of getting an almighty kingdom that representing God by the tribe of Yehuda. Now, what happens? What happens in Beit HaMikdash number 1? Beit HaMikdash number 1. The house of David is established. His son called Shlomo becomes king. And after Shlomo becomes king, who's becoming the next king? Rechav. And he's from the tribe of Judah. But thereafter we see that there are new kings, especially in the kingdom of Israel. Why? Do you remember there was a prophet from Shiloh called Achia Hashiloni that came up to Yoravam ben Nevat, and he ripped up the paper into many pieces. And therefore that basically allowed other new kings to go up and reign, even though they're not from the tribe of Judah. That's what the Ramban says. Now, what about the Second Temple period? Did Israel have or not have kings in the Second Temple period?
Yes.
Let's go to Hanukkah times. Who became the king after Hanukkah?
The Leviim.
The Chashmonayim. Chashmonayim are from the tribe of
Levi.
and not from the tribe of Yehuda. Isn't this a problem? Of course it's a problem. How do we deal with this? Do you know there's a famous argument between Rambam and Ramban? Now I want to treat just for a short time what Ramban says. He says that they're basically violating, the fact that there was a Hashmonaic kingdom from the tribe of Levi is basically violating this law, that we're not allowed to take the scepter away from the tribe of Yehuda. And what was the punishment to the kings of the Hashmonaim? Okay? You know what? They assimilated. They forgot Torah and mitzvot. They didn't represent Torah. After so many kings from the Hashmonaic dynasty ruled, they left the Torah. So you see that their punishment is so great. Even the last 4 kings, okay? If I'm not mistaken, what were the last 4 kings of the Hashmonaic dynasty?
Yania.
Ken. It was Yehuda, Elazar, Yonatan, and Shimon. They all fell into captivity afterwards. The Ramban uses this point against them, that because they violated to be kings of Israel, which they shouldn't have done, therefore they were assimilated and they were killed. Not only were they assimilated and killed, but do you know what they did to the scholars of Israel? Huh? They went out to kill the scholars of Israel. They did terrible things. That's the understanding of the Ramban in very, very short way. So we should know, in a very short way, the kingdom of Judah was violated by these Hashmonai kings. Let's go on, bivakasha. What's unique about Yehuda other than the kingdom? The Torah says regarding the growing of grapes and the making of wine. Osrila gefen iro. You can take your male donkey and you can tie him to the gefen. There's so much gefen and the branches are so strong, it can maintain and hold a what? A male donkey. V'lasoreka b'niatono. Lasoreka is a very, very special type of grapes. B'niatono, you can bring my aton. Ki beis payayin levushot, there'll be so much wine that you'll be able to use it as a detergent of detergent clothing. Uvedam anavim sudo, so too the what's coming out of the what? The grapes. Okay. What are you gonna use it for? Why is the grape juice good for laundering? Huh? There's gonna be such a quantity of wine. The grape juice turns into wine and the wine is acidic. It acts like a detergent, right? It has a high level of acid. And therefore the making of wine is going to be a bracha. Eating grapes, drinking wine. And the Jewish people could be drinking wine instead of Coca-Cola. What do you think? We drink Coca-Cola in our dinner? No, we drink wine. What else will be producing there? The last pasuk of the blessing of Judah. Chachlili einai miyain uleven shinai mechalav. The whitening of the teeth, not because of Colgate toothpaste. The whitening of teeth because of the drinking of quantities of chalav. Is it chalav Yisrael? Yeah, it'll be chalav Yisrael. Gentlemen, chalav in the text is usually chalav of tzon, of sheep, and not chalav of bakar. So there's a blessing that there's going to be a lot of vegetation to grow sheep and goat and take and milk them for the great milk. And there's going to be a bracha that this milk can provide for all the soldiers. Okay, let's go on to the next tribe. Zvulun l'chof yamim yishkon v'u l'chof aniyot v'yarchato atzidon. The next tribe is... Just 1 second. Help me out in the order. Who's born first? Who was born for Reuven?
Shimon, Levi, Yehuda,
Yisachar, right? And who's mentioned first here? Uh-oh. Give me the eraser, please.
No, you can't.
I'm not allowed? So, he's strong, right? We can erase it. So our question is, what? Why is put earlier than Yisachar? My dear friends, Chazal tell us, although it's not written here, it's written in the book of Deuteronomy. Do you know who supported the Torah learning of Yisachar? The businessmen, the commercialism of the tribe of Zvulun. When you go up north towards Haifa coast, you're now entering into the regional area of Zevulun. In the coastal area, it could very well be that when we were in Akko and Shabbos that summer, I don't know exactly where is the border between Asher and Zvulun, but any along the coast from Haifa on is usually the area of the tribe of Zvulun. Now, what are we told? Where are they going to be living? L'chof yamim. They're going to be by the desert shore. They're shore people. They're boating people. V'lechof oniyot. They're going to anchor their boats. They're going to go all the way down to Tzidon, which is Sidon, which is even beyond their border. So, gentlemen, 2 points that we're learning here. Number 1, Zvulun is brought earlier than Yisachar. Chazal say that's because they're feeding, supporting the studies of Torah from the tribe of Yisachar, as we're about to see. And therefore they get merit for allowing them to learn Torah. Okay? So, number 2, The truth of the matter is they're going to spread and spread and spread by the coastal line of the land of Israel all the way up to Tzidon. That's what it says here. Now, what about Yisachar? They have an agreement. They're going to make an agreement. We'll learn Torah and you'll support us. Yisachar chamor garam. Yisachar has strong bones like an animal, like a donkey. Why do you need strong bones if you're learning Torah?
To be chazak to other people.
Right? You have to be very chazak, not for war, but for learning Torah. You have to sit in the chair. You can move up in front, to the right and left, but you need a lot of physical strength. You have to work out. You have to go jogging in the morning after tefillah. Okay? Rovet bein mishpatayim. So he's very, very unique and special that he has strong bones. And where is he hanging out? Rovet. He's lowering himself bein mishpatayim. What is mishpatayim?
A resting place.
It's a common resting place, and it has usually four, what are we going to call it? 4 walls. What do they translate it there as what?
Boundaries. He rests between the boundaries. I guess 4 walls, resting place, and inn.
Okay, could be.
Have the sheepfolds.
It could be. In any event, Yisachar is a strong body, strong bones, in order to accept the yoke of the Torah. Just like a strong donkey is strong, and you put a big load on him, Rashi says. And it says, Rovetz bein mishpatayim. Where is he crouching down? At the tchum of the city, at the boundary of the city, because he may be doing also some volunteer work.
Like Shabbos?
Okay, like the Shoftim, okay. Vayar menucha ki tov, v'ta'aretz ki na'ima, ki vayet shechmo lesbo v'yil masoved. The last verses, the last psukim, the last words of the pasuk, okay? What's going to happen? What's going to happen? Vayar menucha ki tov. Yisachar sees that the area that he got for the land of Israel is so blessed, is so pleasant. Okay? He sees a very, very fine place. Okay? Vayar menucha ki tov v'ta'aretz ki ne'ema. And the land, of course, is pleasant. Vayet shechmo lesbo v'yil masoved. Okay? It's very successful, the portion that he's going to be getting. And it says he has the yoke of the 2 kings of Israel. Okay? Vayil masoved. He's going to give the kings of Israel trumot masrot in his grains. Why? Because the Tanakh says later. What does it say? Look at the last 2 lines. V'lamas oved. I see. It says l'teit melachim isor tfuot. I see. Yisachar will stand by a very important thing: the taxation. The taxation that makes sure 10% is going to be given as a revenue to the kings. That's the pshat of the pasuk. So they're going to be managing this. They're Anshe Torah, but they're going to be managing that taxation will be good. Where are you going to get money to support all the tribes, all the building of the country? You have to tax people. So here there's talking about a 10%, and that'll be the mas, the matters. We don't have more time really to see everything else, but it's clear that Yehuda is prophesizing about the attributes of the land of Israel vis-a-vis the tribes. Each tribe has a personality that will be right for a particular piece of land. That's very special. What I think tomorrow we're going to do, if you can prepare B'ezrat Hashem, is we'll learn something about the funeral of Yaakov Avinu, taken out of Mitzrayim. So if you can prepare that, B'ezrat Hashem, Perek Non, we'll continue with this tomorrow.